Hello and welcome to No Fear Public Speaking. My name is Abraham Lavoie and I'll be your instructor throughout this course. It's evident that you've come to this course because, number one, you'd like to, or perhaps you're going to be required to, improve your skills at public speaking. Maybe you just want to feel more confident in front of a crowd, or maybe because of your job or in school, you feel like you have to become a better public speaker. Well, this course is for you, but also you may have come to this course because you've encountered some fear when you've attempted to speak in public in the past. And for you, this course is going to be great. I've had over 25 years of experience of public speaking, and I've developed some techniques and procedures and processes to help me speak in public with confidence and with no fear. And I'm confident that when I share these techniques and processes with you, you're going to alleviate your fear when you speak publicly. Now let's talk for just a minute about the fear of public speaking. Fully 25% of people surveyed not too long ago responded by saying that their number one fear was speaking in public. Think about that. 1 in 4 people say that they're not afraid of anything worse than standing up in front of a crowd and speaking. That's remarkable. That such a non-dangerous activity as simply standing in front of an audience and speaking could create that much fear in so much of the population. But it's true. So let's analyze this for just a minute. Fear of public speaking, unlike most every other fear out there, is purely emotional. In other words, there is no tangible threat or physical danger that's going to come to you from speaking in public. It's purely emotional. There's really no longer the case where people throw tomatoes or rotten eggs at a speaker or a musician or somebody on a stage that they don't enjoy. That certainly may have been a thing of the past, but certainly not now. So there's no physical threat, there's no tangible danger from speaking in public. So what then is the fear? It is purely emotional, and emotional fear can always be overcome by facts. Think about when you were a younger kid and you went to bed at night perhaps and it was dark and you got scared because you thought maybe there was a monster in the closet or something hiding underneath your bed, and it was a real fear of yours. And maybe you ran to your parents' bedroom or you called for them to come in and comfort you. You had this real fear. But the older you got, and perhaps the more times that you peeked under your bed or got up in the middle of the night and threw wide the doors of the closet to make sure there wasn't a monster in there, the facts, number one, there's no such thing as monsters hiding in the closet or ghosts under the bed. Those facts, and you're continually repeating them to yourself and perhaps other people repeating them to you, overcame the emotional fear of the ghosts under the bed or the monsters in the closet. The same can be true with the emotional fear of public speaking. You can use facts to assure yourself that the fears that you have of speaking in public are emotional in basis and can be overcome. So a portion of this course will deal with overcoming the emotional fears with the facts. Second, fear is your body's response mechanism to potentially threatening stimuli. So if you come into a dangerous situation, fear strikes you. But that's not a negative thing necessarily. In many cases, it's a positive thing because fear brings you to alert and tenses your muscles to respond to and react to whatever the danger is. So fear, in many cases, is a good thing because it heightens your awareness, it heightens your senses, it puts you on alert, and it causes you to be more easily responsive to what's happening against you. Well, when it comes to public speaking, fear actually can be a very good thing because it makes your body more focused, alert, and actually makes you, or can make you, if you channel it correctly, not a worse public speaker, but a better public speaker. So we're going to talk some ways that you can channel that fear into ways to make yourself a better public speaker. So why does this fear exist, though? I mean, it really does, and we've said that it's emotional, but that doesn't help necessarily. I mean, why? Why do we get so nervous and fearful when we're called upon to speak in public? Well, first of all, I think we fear public speaking because we have wrong beliefs. Beliefs, first of all, about ourselves. Most of us, when called upon to speak in public, are going to immediately have this belief, I am not a good public speaker. Well, that may or may not be the case right now, but in many cases, it's not true. Many of you are probably much better public speakers than you would give yourself credit for, but because of fear and because you have maybe never done it or not done it enough, you don't know that you're a good public speaker. And I happen to believe that there is a good public speaker living inside every one of you, every one of us, that just needs to be let out. And we can do that by believing the right beliefs, which is, if I follow the plan that I'm going to lay out in this course, I've prepared properly, I have the right perspective, I've got my presentation techniques ready to go, then I can go to the podium with a true belief that I am a good public speaker. So, belief number one is about myself. I'm not a good public speaker, and we're going to change that throughout this course. Number two, another very harmful, wrong, or inaccurate belief is about your audience. Many people, when they first start public speaking, or even seasoned public speakers, might step in front of an audience with this wrong belief. Everyone here is a better public speaker than me. Well, that's not the case, because first of all, you were the one called upon to step to the podium and to give the speech. So you're maybe every bit as good as those that are in the audience, but certainly the extreme of everyone here is a better public speaker than me is absolutely false, because you're certainly not at the bottom of whatever group of people there are. So with the preparation that we're going to talk about, with the right perspective and right beliefs, you're going to be able to walk to the stage, stand behind a podium with a confident belief that not everybody here is better than me. In fact, you might be able to step to the podium because of the preparation you've had and because of the mindset that you'll have from the things that we're going to talk about in this course. You're going to be able to say, I'm every bit as good and maybe better public speaker than most people here. Now, here's another reason that we might have fear of public speaking: making mistakes. That's always a fear for anyone who stands in front of any kind of an audience, making mistakes. But here's the truth about audiences. They don't notice most of the mistakes that we as speakers or singers or musicians or anybody that stands on a stage, they don't notice most of the mistakes we make. I'm also a singer and a guitar player, an acoustic performer, and I usually leave gigs thinking, oh man, I totally bombed this particular song, or man, that was a glaring mistake right in the middle of this song. The truth is, most people didn't notice that because they don't know every note that's in this particular song. Or they may have assumed that because I'm doing a cover of somebody else's song, I changed it a little bit so that it wouldn't be exactly the same as the radio version, which is often the case with us performers of cover music. They're going to gloss over it and never even notice if you don't give them a clue about what happened. Far too many people that are performers or speakers, when they make a mistake, they get a deer in the headlights kind of a look, and they stop and they look around and they pause, or they say, oh, I totally goofed that up. And you call attention to your mistake. That's not necessary because most people never noticed it in the first place. So, making mistakes can be a real fear that we have when we enter into public speaking, but when we go through the steps that I'm going to talk to you about in this course of perspective, preparation, and presentation techniques, you're going to alleviate much of those fears because you'll understand how not to make mistakes, and you'll understand when you do, how to react to them or not react to them so that the audience doesn't even recognize it. Finally, one of the fears that we have, let's be realistic, is that we're going to be laughed at, that we may make a mistake or just stumble through or do so badly that we're going to be laughed at. But we're going to talk for a portion of this course about the audience's attitude and your attitude, and how the reality is there are very, very few circumstances where that would ever happen. So we're talking about no fear public speaking, and you're probably asking this question about right now: how can I help you? Well, first of all, I can help because of my experience. I have over 25 years of experience in both corporate and in church public speaking. For many, many years, I spoke in a church setting on a weekly basis, in some cases 3 or 4 times per week. I've also held corporate positions where I've been called upon to speak to crowds of hundreds or even thousands, and I've developed a technique and a process where I prepare and I present with such a way that I don't get fear anymore. Furthermore, as I mentioned, I sing and play guitar and do so in front of audiences of, in some cases, hundreds. And the key to this is that I'm really not a great singer. I'm a mediocre singer at best. I'm a pretty good guitar player, but I keep getting invited over and over again to the same venues, to the same events, to play for hundreds of people, in many cases because of my stage presence and stage personality, and I'm good enough at the music. So that, I think, gives me credibility to say, how can a mediocre singer and a decent guitar player get asked back repeatedly to events over and over again? And it's because I know how to entertain and engage the audience, and I'm going to share that with you. I will also share this. Back when I was in the University of Minnesota as a political science and communications major, I took a speech class. And admittedly, I was only about 20 at the time, but I got an A on my speech at the end of the year in my speech class, and my instructor wrote on that speech next to the A+, "You could be the press secretary of the President of the United States." So that's what a university professor said of me when I was 20 years old. Now, that's not to brag. I'm simply saying I have both the skills and the experience to help you become a no-fear public speaker. Here's an actual compliment I got on the last 2 public talks that I gave, which were just a month or so ago. And in both cases, they were different talks. They were far apart in different parts of the country. But in both instances, at least 1 or 2 people came up to me afterwards and said, "I don't get it. How can you talk for 45 minutes without any notes?" But the truth is, I did have notes. I had enough notes to get me through a 45-minute talk that I had never given before. And I did it, though, with the techniques and the practices that I'm going to share with you in this course, so that when you get to the end of your next 45-minute talk, people are going to be amazed that you didn't have any notes. Even though you will, you'll just do a great job, as I did, of hiding them or not looking at them except in strategic points throughout the talk where people are not going to notice that much. There are plenty of public speaking courses here on Udemy and on other online learning channels. What is different about this course? Well, first of all, I'm going to give you real and practical lessons in all aspects of public speaking, in the preparation and the delivery. I'm also going to give you an entire segment on the preparation of visual content, slides for the screen, or PowerPoint as we sometimes call them. And I'm even going to guide you to some free online resources where you can create these things without having a whole lot of graphic design experience or spending a lot of money on graphic design software. So that's going to help you. And finally, we're going to research, compose, arrange, and deliver a talk throughout the course to illustrate all of the principles that I'm going to give you in this course. And at the very end, the last session, will be me giving this talk in a public setting so that you can see how the talk developed from just an idea into notes, into an outline, into the preparation, and then finally into the delivery. So in short, you can become a confident, no fear public speaker by applying the proper principles that I'm going to deliver to you in this course. So let's not wait any longer. Let's get started.